Welcome back. This is still starting your investment journey audio series. And throughout this series, we've talked about assets such as stocks, bonds, mutual funds, businesses, real estates. Now, all these are valuable assets. They are very, very fantastic and wonderful. But there is another category of assets that has become increasingly important in the digital age. Now, I've mentioned it in passing under alternative assets, but let's talk about it in more detail. And that is digital assets. Digital assets. Now, imagine two people. Person A works for income. Every month they get paid. But when they stop working, the income also stops. But on the other hand, person B spent 6 months creating an online course. And years later, people are still buying it. And they keep making money even though they are not doing anything again. So which one of them has created an asset? The answer is obvious. The course. The course is an asset, even though the person that is working is also generating income. Remember that I have differentiated between income and assets. Assets produce income, but income is different from assets. Like I said, you are your greatest asset. So even when you are working, you are also an asset and you are getting income. But apart from you, what if you have other assets that are also bringing in income? So the same way you are working as an asset to bring income, it's like you now duplicate yourself into other assets that are bringing in income. And that's what we want to look at here, right? So you can create assets that can continue to bring money to you beyond when it is created. And that is what a digital asset is. So a digital asset is a valuable digital product or an intellectual property that can be owned, sold, licensed, or used to generate income. Now, two things are very important in this conversation, and the two words are valuable and repeatable. So a digital asset is not just a file, it is not just a product. It has to be something that is valuable, something that solves a problem, creates a value, or satisfies demand. So most people, they just think that once you can create something, once you can just create anything, you already have a digital asset. No, it has to be something that is valuable, and it has to be something that can generate income over time, so much that you don't have to do the work afresh again. And that is what a digital asset is. Most people think that investing only means that you can buy assets. But now what we are getting to understand is that you can also create an asset. And sometimes the highest returns come from creating your own assets rather than just buying an asset. Now let's look at a few digital assets that you may need to understand. Number one is ebooks. Now an ebook is one of the simplest digital assets. You create it once and you sell it repeatedly. Again, repeatedly. If you can't sell something repeatedly, then it's not an asset, right? So if the content remains useful for years, then it may continue to generate value even for years. Number two, online courses. And this is one of the fastest growing digital asset categories. A course can teach a skill, it can solve a problem, it can transfer knowledge. And once you create it once, you continue to sell it again and again as many times as possible. And now, that is different from consulting. If you're consulting, you sell your time, but for you to consult the next time, you also need to sell your time again. But if you can package that knowledge into a course, then it becomes an asset that you can keep selling without having to produce the work again. Number three, audio products, like audio podcasts and all that. So examples of audio products are audio books, guided programs, educational audio series, premium podcast content, just like the one you're listening to. This is an audio product, right? And again, the asset can be consumed repeatedly without requiring the creator's presence. Now, imagine that I have to sit you down maybe for a series of lessons. Maybe I say that I'm organizing a 1-month training program, and every day I'm speaking in front of the audience. But after that 1 month, what happens? I will need to speak again to teach another set of audience. But once I teach it like this, then many people, millions of people can listen to it at the same time, and it doesn't affect any other one, and I don't have to do the work again. Number 4, templates and frameworks. So many professionals can create spreadsheets that are like templates that people can use, business templates, financial models, design assets, productivity systems, and they are also digital assets that can be sold. Number 5, membership communities. So some creators, they build paid communities that can provide learning, networking, support, or resources. And the community itself can become a valuable asset because everyone that joins continues to pay them. Now, why are digital assets so powerful? Why are they very powerful? Now, let's compare a physical product to a digital product. Suppose you sell a physical book. Each new copy that you want to sell, you have to print. It requires printing, it requires storage, it requires distribution. But suppose that you now want to sell an ebook. Once you create it once, the cost of delivering an additional copy is almost close to zero. I didn't say it is entirely zero because sometimes you may need to set up a digital marketing system, an emailing system, a payment system. But compared to physical books, it is way, 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 way lower. So this is one reason why digital assets can be highly scalable. For you to sell copies of a physical book to 1 million people, you have to print 1 million copies. But for a digital asset, you just have to do one and you can sell to billions of people. So at a deeper level, many digital assets are forms of intellectual property because you create it by yourself. What's an intellectual property? It is any value that is created by the human minds, such as books, training programs, software, music, research, educational material, and whatever it is. So in many cases, the file itself is not the real asset. The real asset is the knowledge inside the file. I've seen cases when people buy a book and they're just looking at it, just this 50 pages book, and they're selling it for this high price. Maybe on the other hand, there's another book that is maybe 500 pages, and they're even selling it half the price of the one that is 50 page. So it is not the pages you are paying for. It is the knowledge inside it that you're paying for. So this connects directly to our earlier episode on human capital. Remember that human capital is your knowledge, is your skill, is your experience, is your expertise. So digital assets allow you to package that human capital into something scalable. Now think about it. A teacher can teach one classroom, but an online course can teach thousands. A consultant can advise one client at a time. But if they package that advice into a framework, then they can help many people simultaneously and they can scale it. Scalability is very high. And that is where knowledge becomes an asset. Of course, let's add a balance, or let's add some balance. Digital assets are not magic, right? Remember we talked about it has to be valuable. Many people create products that nobody wants. So the challenge is not simply about creating anything. Let me just go and create something. The challenge is about creating something valuable. So a digital asset only has value if it solves a meaningful problem for someone. So one challenge is creating something valuable. Another challenge is creating digital assets usually requires significant effort upfront. So it's like the initial effort in terms of resources, in terms of knowledge, in terms of time, effort is high, right? So the work often comes before the reward. And that is different from maybe jobs, employment, where you typically get payment faster and requires continued effort for continued payment. So for jobs and for employment, you need to keep working to keep being paid. But digital assets often require the effort first, and then you may begin to generate the rewards later. Of course, neither of the two models is better. They are simply different. And you can even combine them. You can have the one that is generating you money by working. For example, a consultant doesn't just need to stop consulting because they now have a digital framework or a digital asset. They still keep consulting. The teacher may keep teaching, right? The person that is working may keep working. The person that is offering various services may keep doing that. But they may also create a digital asset that can now be scalable. So there's nothing that says that you can't combine the two of them together. So even if you are not planning to even create any digital asset yourself, understanding them changes how you think about wealth. You begin to see that assets can be physical, anything physical, financial, business related, intellectual, or digital rather. So some of the most valuable companies in the world today are built largely on intellectual property and digital assets. Think about the tech giants that we have today. They are built entirely on intellectual property and digital assets. So digital assets demonstrate a powerful idea that wealth is not just about owning things. Wealth is also about creating things. And you can create wealth by packaging knowledge into assets that continue to deliver value over time. Whether it is an ebook, a course, a software, an audio program, a template, a membership platform, the principles remain the same. You create the value once, and then you continue to allow it to create the value repeatedly. That is the essence of digital assets. So now that we've explored digital assets as a productive tool for creating value, there is another digital asset category that attracts enormous attention, strong opinions, and passionate supports, and determined critics in the recent time. And that is talking about cryptocurrencies, right? Some people view it as the future of finance, and others see it as something that is highly speculative that should be avoided. Either way, every modern investor should understand what they are. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next episode. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.